You know it's opening day when Tyler O'Neill hits a home run.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they're calling it these days, and on Instagram. And you can follow me. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. But the best way to get a hold of me is doing it right here on YouTube. That's the best way to get a hold of me. It just is. It just is. Let's go for we got to get a lot of stuff today, and we're going to try to get it done pretty quickly here. Let's do the trivia question. I said, what did Ted Kluszynski do in the first ever Angels game on opening day 1961? And John Murphy Jr. said, got it right. He hit 2 home runs in the first ever Angel game, starting the Angels off on quite a good run there. And actually, there's an added thing is he hit a home run in the first inning of the first ever Angels game, and he hit a home run in the second inning of the first ever Angels game. Things have not gone as well for the Angels since then. We had a great opening day. It was a fabulous opening day. And yes, I know they played 2 games beforehand, but this felt like opening day. You know, fans were there. Big crowds in places that wouldn't normally get big crowds, and some of those places that got bigger crowds than they normally have for teams that have no real shot of winning this year were treated to some fun games, and good for them. And that's part of the excitement of the beginning of the year is, with the exception of the Dodgers and the Cubs, everyone's at 0. And even if you were horrible last year, and I'm looking at you, White Sox, looking at you, Marlins, you can give your fans hope for at least a day. And we saw that happen. Some people are up watching me right now, and I see one of them is going to lead right in. Riley, thanks for being up with me right now. How about them O's? Riley, hun? There you go. I don't know what that means at the end, but good. Nice to see you too, Riley. Tyler O'Neill for the 6th straight year, and with multiple teams along the way. He was with the Red Sox last year. Tyler O'Neill homered for the 6th straight opening day. I mean, it's Groundhog Day. And Tyler O'Neill is a fine player, but of all the people to be locked in on opening day, there you go. The Orioles needed a big bat, and they got one. Now, and by the way, if you're listening to me now and you hit a home run for the Orioles last night, let me know in the comment section. I think everybody hit a home run for the Orioles last night. Holy cow. It was home run derby. Adley Rutschman hit a pair of them himself, and the Orioles went up to Canada, while you still can, went up to Canada and blew the doors off the dump. It was 12-2 was the final. And, O'Neill homered, actually Rutschman homered. Cedric Mullins hit 2 home runs. He had a terrific game. He drove in 5. I mean, they just homer after homer after homer. And that's great news for Baltimore. I picked the Orioles to win the division because I think the Yankees are going to take a little bit of a step back, although I still think the Yankees are a playoff team. As I've said before, I think that there's going to be about 10 teams between 90 and 80 wins in the American League, and it's going to be an absolute traffic jam. The Orioles getting off to a big start, that's fine. I think they're going to be a playoff team anyway. This is bad news for the Blue Jays. And I know it's Sully, it's not even March 30th yet. How can there be bad news? I said before, the Blue Jays have to get out of the gate fast. The Blue Jays have to be a team that starts the season with a flourish. Because if they fall out of contention, then they have to really stop and think, do we have to blow this team up? a talented team, and they have a potential franchise MVP player in Vladdy Jr., and they need to get off to a good start. They need to get off to a good start so they could maybe kick up negotiations with him. And because they are throwing new contracts out, even though they were saying they weren't going to negotiate during the season, they're trying to. And if they're losing and look like they're a rudderless team, that's gonna not be a positive influence on bringing Vladdy back. Again, it's extraordinary. It's one game into the season, but when you are at home and you lose 12-2, that's not a good sign. I'll tell you another team that should have a bad taste in their mouth after opening day are the Angels. Mike Trout is there, and it's a disastrous franchise. It's been so long since they've had a winning record. They blew the chance when they had Trout and Ohtani as teammates. And now things are going to be different. You're not texting at the locker room. Ron Washington's knuckling down. And the Angels have to show that, all right, we're going to be better this year. We brought in a bunch of veterans to surround Trout. They're not necessarily great veterans, but let's see if they can put a quality product on the field. And they need to get off to a good start to build a little momentum there. And they got the greatest gift, which is to open the season against the Chicago White Sox. And I've joked, the White Sox last year were the worst team in the history of baseball in terms of win-loss record in a 162-game season. And I've joked that the only team that does not have an outside chance, at least, of making the playoffs in the American League are the White Sox. So if you're the Angels, we're going to start the season against the White Sox. That's got to be a couple of wins right there. Just start the season with a little bit of papow. And, there was papow, to be sure. Andrew Benintendi and Austin Slater and the rest of the White Sox smacked the Angels around. The Angels lost 8-1. The White Sox can at least say when they wake up one day, say, hey, our magic number is 162. When BaseballReference.com, the singularest website in the history of planet Earth, writes up the history of the 2025 Chicago White Sox, they will say days in first, 1 day. Days above 500, 1 day. At least they got today. At least the fans who showed up, and bless those fans, it was a decent-sized house. It wasn't a packed house. You don't expect a packed house after a 121-loss season. But it was a good-sized crowd, and they got something to cheer for. Say, hey, it's a new year. It's a new look. It's going to be better than last year because at least they have a winning record for a day. And the Angels got so humiliated that they used a position player to pitch on opening day. Useless trucker, how about them Angels? What a disgrace. To use a position player to pitch on opening day. I hate the fact that having a position player to pitch has now become part of strategy instead of maybe once a year novelty. Now it's part of the strategy. You're trying to tell me there's no starting pitcher who's going to be pitching 4 or 5 days from now? Can't get in. I'll give you an inning of work. I don't know. Maybe they should allow cell phones back. Maybe the ban of cell phones not working there. There were some other pretty dramatic games that went on in baseball. The Red Sox went up against the Rangers, a team that a lot of people, including your pal Sully, picked to win the American League pennant. And it was a really tight game, and the Red Sox wound up scoring 3 in the 9th inning to take the lead and to win that game. It was Wilyer Abreu. Wilyer Abreu was the one who got on base 4 times, hit 2 home runs. His second home run put the Red Sox up for good in the 9th. They won against Texas. Big win there. Austin Wells in the Yankees was the first ever Yankee catcher to bat leadoff on opening day. And I remember when I saw this, I said, oh, that's weird. I don't know what kind of sign that is for the Yankees that they're batting Austin Wells leadoff. Well, Austin Wells shut me up on the first pitch because 1 pitch into the game, he became the first Yankee catcher to bat leadoff on opening day and hit a first pitch leadoff homer. immediately put the Yankees on the board. It was a quality game between the Yankees and the Brewers, and Williams faced his former teammates. Looked a little bumpy in the ninth inning, but got the job done, striking out Christian Yelich, and the Yankees held on for that victory. And Useless Trucker says the Angels need to call cell phones back to call 911. Yeah. Perhaps that's the case. And it was a great game there in between the Marlins and the Pirates. Paul Skeens versus Sandy Alcantara. I'm glad to see Sandy Alcantara back pitching where he should be. And the Pirates had the lead. Paul Skeens pitched a good game. And then the Marlins wound up tying the game on a Dane Myers single in the 8th inning. And then the Marlins got out of a jam. Joey Bart, remember him, Giant fans? He struck out to leave the go-ahead run at third. Then Nick Fortes hit a triple, and Kyle Stowers singled them home. And the Marlins won a wild walk-off victory. So there, in the opening day, if you're a Marlin fan and if you're a White Sox fan, I don't know what kind of year you're going to have. It's probably not going to be a great one. But do you know what? At least on opening day, you got to have fun and say, hey, maybe. Hey, let's hear from our friends over at PrizePicks. Baseball season has begun, and there's no better way to get into the action with PrizePicks. With PrizePicks, you pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 100 times your cash. Whether it's strikeouts, RBI, first inning runs, PrizePicks has every game lined up and can make them all exciting. If you can build your lineup, you can say, okay, I'm going to pick Lawrence Butler to get more than 2 hits, or I'm going to get Shohei Ohtani to hit a home run. I hope you had Tyler O'Neill hitting a home run yesterday. It's fast, it's simple. Setting up the lineup takes less than 60 seconds. When you win, your payout is quick, safe, and secure. And I always take advantage of Taco Tuesday, where PrizePicks offers discount on player projections for even more value. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 instantly after your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. And now let's hear from our good friends over at SupplyHouse. Now, get the supplies you need from the site that's made for skilled trades, SupplyHouse. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, SupplyHouse is a reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast and coast to coast. Need help with an order? SupplyHouse offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies in just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. SupplyHouse. I had to sing a little while I look for that button. Terry Francona is now the manager of the Cincinnati Reds, and I picked the Reds to win the division. And I picked them because I felt that Terry Francona is not going to come back for a rebuild. And I thought they had a lot of talent on that team. And I don't think there's a favorite in the National League Central. And for a while, when they're playing San Francisco, which is a team that I think is okay, but I don't have a lot of faith in them. I don't think they're a playoff team at all. And Dela Cruz on Cincinnati is, to me, walking proof of why having speed on your team and putting the ball in play is a good way to put your ball club together. I'm gonna hit mute because I have to sniff. You don't need to hear that. We're doing it live. Put the ball in play when you have speed strange things can happen. You saw speed was being in use with Cincinnati yesterday, and Candelario got a big hit, but Dela Cruz was always in the middle of it. Candelario got a couple of RBI hits, but it was always Candelario who was in. It was always Dela Cruz who was in motion and everything like that. And the Reds took a 3-0 lead after 3 innings, and they had the lead going into the. They had a 1-run lead going into the 9th, and with 2 outs, Matt Chapman wound up. Chapman got the single. Sorry, with 2 outs, it was Patrick Bailey singled to tie the game, and then Wilmer Flores came up and hit a huge home run. So the bullpen let up 4 runs in the 9th inning, and the Giants wound up winning the game 6-4. And good for the Giants. The Reds. Here's why I'll bring this up. We all know that every good team is going to lose 50 games. Unless you're the 1998 Yankees and something extraordinary, every good team is going to lose 50 games. Every bad team, unless you're last year's White Sox, are going to win 50 games. It's those other 62 games that determine whether or not you are going to be a playoff team or be on the outside looking in. There's going to be 50 games that are no doubters. All right, we lost 7-2. It was a no-brainer. And there's going to be some blowouts. You cannot afford to lose dumb games ever. Not in late March, not in late September. And with so many teams bunched together in the National League Central, where a game here or a game there is going to be the difference between playing in October or not. You can't afford on opening day to have your closer let up 4 runs in the 9th inning and hand a game back. If the Reds miss the playoffs by a game, I'll remind you about opening day. I know there's a lot of time. It sounds silly, but these are the dumb games that you can't let build up. You're going to have your share of them, but don't have too many of them. You can't have a lot of them. Now, we know that Francona is very good at managing bullpens. He managed the great bullpen of the Red Sox in 2004. He did a great job with Cleveland. We're going to see if it's clear that, okay, we may have a bullpen situation here, because it's not like Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, and Mookie Betts went back to back to back on them. I'm sorry. No offense to Patrick Bailey and Wilmer Flores, but these aren't exactly on anyone's. Let me put it this way. I don't know how many people are going to them on PrizePicks to try to win their big dough. Call me crazy. What other games? A couple of other interesting games that happened yesterday. Oh, probably when you were asleep, you missed the debut of the Sacramento A's. And the Sacramento A's went to play the Seattle Mariners, and they did a really lovely tribute at the beginning of the game for Ricky Henderson, who played he played about a season, maybe parts of 2 seasons. He wanted to play in the playoffs for the Mariners in 2000, and of course they're playing the A's, and it was a really good game, and they did a wonderful ceremony for him, and Ricky Henderson's widow and 3 daughters came out to present the first pitch. It was really nice, and the A's wound up playing pretty well. Luis Severino, their big acquisition, threw 6 shutout innings, and Tyler Soderstrom twice hit go-ahead home runs. But the problem is Logan Gilbert of the Mariners shut down anyone who was not named Tyler Soderstrom, and the Mariners wound up coming back on the Jorge Polanco 2-run home run in the 8th inning, and the Mariners held on. It was a good game. I like the Mariners. I'd like to see them win a pennant. And obviously, I did Locked On A's last year, so I have a soft spot in my heart for the team as they're starting this weird season. So it was a really good game. You probably missed it because you were probably asleep. Now, and the other big game happened on the West Coast. The Cubs finally won a game. They're now 1-2. The White Sox won a game before the Cubs did. Ian Happ got a big home run and doubled them. It was the Cubs wound up beating the Diamondbacks 10-6. And the other game was Tommy Edman homered, and Teoscar Hernandez homered, and Shohei Ohtani homered. And they overcame some, a little bit of shaky pitching to wind up beating the game against a pretty good Detroit Tiger team. Is that a World Series preview? Might be. We've never had a Tiger-Dodger World Series, believe it or not. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about the big game, the phenomenal performance that went wasted. And yes, I know it's way too early to feel confident about anything, but I do kind of sort of feel confident about my pick to win the World Series. You're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Check out wonderful pistachios. It's in the name. Crack into a great source of protein. Now look at it's one of the highest protein nuts, and wonderful pistachios has 6 grams of protein in each 1 ounce serving, giving you 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats. I have the roasted, unsalted, shelled, out of the shell, wonderful pistachio in my desk in the classroom that I teach. That's my kind. And then when I get my little snack, I have that instead of grabbing a cookie or something else because it's better for you. It's got the wonderful protein punch in those little green wonders, and it's a complete protein snack. Wonderful Pistachios has all 9 essential amino acids. And you know, some of you may want to crack it out of the shell, some of you may not. There's all different types of varieties. Get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. That's Wonderful Pistachios. It's in the name. Hey, thanks so much for listening to our show and making it your first listen. Now, for your second listen, check out the Locked On MLB season previews that are on this feed, and it's on YouTube. And you're going to find all the episodes on Locked On MLB. And also on the links below here on YouTube, you can check out the link to the In Memoriam video that I made. That I start every year to pay tribute to those we've lost since the last opening day. I got some really nice comments from people who saw it, and please keep watching. Now, Mackenzie Gore had a phenomenal day. In fact, 2 of the players that the Washington Nationals had acquired from their big trades of breaking up the team that won the World Series a few years ago are starting to pay off. Keep-It Ruiz was part of the haul when they traded away Max Scherzer and Trey Turner to the Dodgers. Remember, Max Scherzer and Trey Turner were on the Dodgers? When they sent them back to the Dodgers, one of the players they got back was Keep-It Ruiz, catcher, and he got a couple hits and a home run in the game. But the other big player was in the Juan Soto deal, and it was Mackenzie Gore, and he had a phenomenal opening day. He allowed 1 hit and no walks while striking out 13 batters in 6 scoreless innings. And the Nats had, I mean, maybe they weren't going to push him to 7 or 8 innings. I probably would have had him throw 7, but there you go. I mean, 6 innings, 1 hit, no walks, 13 strikeouts. That is a phenomenal day at the ballpark. So naturally, the Nationals lost 7-3. Think about that. The Nats had a historic, and it was an extra innings, and Philadelphia scored a bunch of runs in extra, including with the stupid, runner on second, which I still can't believe they're doing. They're going to have a new collective bargaining agreement soon. Can we just get rid of that? Can we again? My suggestion is tie after 12. But either way, the Phillies wound up scoring 2 immediately in the 7th inning. That they wound up Bryce Harper homered with 1 out. Kyle Schwarber homered, and it was suddenly they took Mackenzie Gore out, and boom, the Phillies took the lead. In fact, the Nats had to scramble to tie the game before the Phillies wound up winning with 4 runs in the 10th inning. And this is, I picked the Phillies to win the World Series, and there's a reason why I did. I'm not saying that, well, that's it. They clinch it, make the route for the parade. The Phillies have the pitching to win. They did yesterday. They had a phenomenal performance by Mackenzie Gore, but Zach Wheeler only allowed 1 run, and he matched him, except for that 1 run, inning for inning. Yes, Mackenzie Gore was blowing away the batters, but the Nats couldn't get a huge lead going. And eventually, when an opening was there, their stars did what they had to do. That's an example. The Reds lost a game they had no business losing. This was a game the Phillies had no business winning. They were being dominated, and they won the game. And those are the games when I say they're 50 on this side, you're going to win. There's 50 on this side, you're going to lose. There's 62 games in the middle. How are you going to do with those? Those are the games that could ping pong back and forth. And the Phillies showed why they are a team that I think are just going to be really, really good, because they're going to find ways to win games that on the surface they have no business winning. Now, they could collapse, and they could be, this could all be an aberration. But the fact of the matter is, season started. And it's a hell of a lot more fun recapping games and finding stories than talking about stadiums in Tampa and in Las Vegas. We got some games going today. Nola's pitching against Parker, afternoon game in Washington. It's going to be a morning game in California, so I'm going to have some good morning baseball. The Yankees and Brewers. Baltimore is going to see if they can continue to clobber Toronto, and the Giants and the Reds dust themselves off and get right back into it. The Rocks and the Rays, the first game outdoors at Steinbrenner Field, as Tampa Bay is going to play Colorado. And more, a lot of day games going on. Oh, wait a minute, I'm looking at the wrong day. My bad. What is today? Today is Friday. I was looking at Saturday's games. Whoops. We're doing it live. Rockies, we got the Rockies and the Rays. That's okay. I was about to say, that seems like a lot of day games for a Friday. Now that makes sense. You got the Rays and the Rocks are playing the day game today in Tampa Bay, but every other team is there lined up. The Blue Jays and the Orioles, the Marlins and the Pirates, Astros and the Mets. It's going to be a good game, a good day, but keep an eye on the afternoon day game in Tampa Bay. And let's go through this. We're going to bring this up. Our trivia question is, which veteran started the first ever game for the Florida Marlins back in 1993? Who was the Marlins' first ever pitcher? That is your trivia question, and put it down here on the comments at YouTube. And so follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter, or whatever it's called these days, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully with Sully Baseball Podcast, and you could also Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Leave your comments down here on YouTube. Check out the In Memoriam video. If it made you cry, share it to your friends. Share it to about 100,000 of your friends. That would help me out a lot. Talking about opening day instead about other stuff. And isn't that just a big, big thing? This has been Locked On MLB. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.